Yes, people, welcome back to the SPTC podcast. I, as always, am your host, Jay McIntosh, joined by Simon Phillips. Si, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And how are you?
I'm good, thank you, sir. I'm good, thank you. I spent most of my week in London. I'm off to Nice this weekend. This weekend is my birthday, so I'm going to Nice for my birthday.
You never mentioned that when we were just having a catch-up a minute ago. You didn't even say that it was your birthday or you were going to Nice.
Yeah, well, I like to
Save it.
step quietly, so I like to step quietly. But yeah, I am. I'm flying out to Nice Friday night. It's my birthday Saturday.
And how young are you going to be?
I will be 28 years old, which is
yeah. You
which
don't
is
look
actually
it.
no, I know I look 17, but I really will be 28 years old. So that's actually a real adult age.
Time to grow up.
Time to grow up. Jesus Christ! I think I'll be hearing that for a little while to go. I feel, Si, which is something we spoke about just before we started recording, that there's not been too much fallout this week. But as you said, I've been out of space, so I've missed a few things, I believe. But let's start with goalkeepers, please, because that has been, I think, the sort of central point of discourse. It was last week too. Petrovic not included in the Club World Cup squad. Still ongoing things with Money Mike Magnon. I have no idea what's going on with Sanchez and Jorgensen. So where are we?
So, I mean, did you say at the start of this there wasn't much fallout this week?
Yeah.
There definitely was. That's how absent you
Twitter. It's just people on Twitter arguing about goalkeepers, right? Is that
no? I mean, not even just that. I mean, the live blog from Deadline Day, which was Tuesday.
Does it? So sorry, I'm gonna. Have you ever watched the Tifo football podcast, Si?
No, but people keep telling me to watch it.
Yeah, it's very good. So I'm sure some people who listen to this will listen to that. Joe Devine is a friend of mine who hosts it, and he sort of doesn't really know what's going on most of the time. And as far as I'm aware, the goalkeeper situation, what people are still arguing about the prices. Is that what I've missed? And also, I didn't know that the Club World Cup has an official deadline to get players in. I think this is just sort of transfer talk Fabrizio hype. Is it an actual woe is me deadline? I know teams. We'll get into the Club World Cup in a minute because I do have some things on it, but I know teams are taking it seriously. But I mean, is it that deep? I suppose.
I think it's the first time it's ever been done. So they're just basically trying to give clubs a chance to bring new players in specifically for the Club World Cup. I think it's been pointless. I think just don't. It needn't have done it this way. It could have just waited and just been a normal transfer window, because what we found is that clubs know that players are trying to sign their players now purely for the Club World Cup. So they're inflating the prices. And this is where you get the whole Club World Cup tax thing that Romano and other people have been speaking about. So they're inflating the fees. And then in Chelsea's instance, they're saying, OK, we're not paying that then because we know that you're just doing that for the Club World Cup. And they're going to revisit a few situations again when the window opens after the 16th. So it's been pointless, really. And I think a few clubs have tried to take advantage of it. AC Milan being one of them with Mike Magnon. They put a price on him. Chelsea valued him much less, like 10, 15 million less than what they were asking. And at one point, Chelsea thought they got close, and then Milan moved the goalposts on the evening right before deadline day. And then Chelsea walked away because they said, no, that's not fair. We're not doing that. He's got a year left on his contract. He's going to be 30 years old in the end of summer, and he's not worth that money. So Chelsea have been playing tactical games all the way through with this one, and so have Milan. They've been briefing the media all along, and a lot of the stuff that they briefed is completely nonsense. And in the end, Chelsea just said, look, we're not going to do it. But they will go back to it. I've heard that. I've heard they will go back to it because they know that Magnon's not signing a new contract. They know that he doesn't want to stay there. He wanted to make the move to Chelsea. There's no other clubs that have come in for him at the moment. So he's still waiting on the Chelsea move. And so Chelsea will go back in for that because they know that Milan don't want to lose him on a free. So nearer towards the end of the window, Chelsea believe they can get him for the price that that they want to pay, or at least closer to it, which is what they got close to anyway before Milan moved the goalpost. So I'm not saying it's one that's definitely going to get done, but it's certainly one that's not over, and Chelsea will go back and revisit it. But the fallout really was just about, Chelsea just having the chance to get this goalkeeper who is an upgrade on what we've got for what I think is a very reasonable fee. Even if you're paying 25 million for him, I think it's a very reasonable fee to upgrade a key position that we really need. And I think that's what happened. And people got annoyed by the briefings as well that was going on all day. And it's just a mix of all that, really.
Yeah, I was going to say, from my understanding, it seemed like Battle of the Briefs. As sort of bizarre as that sounds. And I believe the boys and I agreed with your sort of sentiment that it's just, I don't know, it just feels like a deal that's not really worth like causing too many issues for. It's just fairly sensible, just pay the money, get it gone, it's fine. But I equally understand why they're trying to lowball AC Milan, who are in they're not really in a position of negotiating strength, in my opinion. They're clearly raising funds. They just lost Tiani Reinders for 70 million euros. That'd be great for them. No European football stinks for AC Milan. Completely non-biased opinion from me over here. And their squad building looks very bizarre. I'm not really sure what they're doing over there. The Rossoneri are a really bizarrely built team. And I'm not sure a 40-year-old Luka Modric is going to be able to really change everything, but he might be a helpful stopgap for a year whilst they find the Tiani Reinders replacement, or whether Pep just sort of benches him after 3 days and then he goes back to AC Milan in a year's time. I don't know. But yeah, if he's the keeper Chelsea want, then Chelsea should go and get him, not play games, really simple as. I'm a bit sad for Petrovic because I think he's done well enough to really deserve a chance. But saw actually potential Galatasaray links. They're out here doing a madness, having signed Leroy Sané, who I suggested Chelsea should sign. If he's gone to Galatasaray, because he's actually really good.
The thing is, whenever I hear these links and see the reporters, it's always like local Turkish sources, and I think they just like to link every player who might be available to one of their clubs. And I don't know but yeah, I mean,
Twitter interactions.
Yeah, they might be interested, but whether it's realistic or not, I don't know. But Petrovic is going to be sold this window, and Sanchez is quite likely to be sold as well. But that all depends on if we do get our new keeper in the door or not. So we could see both go. Jorgensen, the club they think he has good data. They think he's going to get better. They do like him. Petrovic, they just don't think he's that good on the ball. That's why they're allowing him to be sold. That's what I've heard anyway. And Sanchez, believe it or not, they do think that he got better at the end of last season. His performances were better, but they would still allow him to go if an offer comes in. And he has got plenty of interest coming in. I think West Ham is the main one at the moment, but there are other clubs as well.
I think Petrovic is being harshly scrutinized for his ability on the ball. I think he's better than he's getting credit for. But like I think I said in the pod last week, like expect some headaches with Maignan if he signs for Chelsea, because he literally thinks he is Vinicius Junior. So he will show you what it's like to play with the ball at your feet, and we'll see what the fans think, because he's certainly going to be in an exciting one. We discussed as well before recording that you can touch a little bit on attackers. I also want to discuss outgoings, as I think that's been, I imagine, something the club will focus on after the Club World Cup deadline. Gross. What's going on with attackers?
So attackers is the biggest priority for Enzo Maresca. He wants to improve the attack. So we've got Delap in. That's fine. He wants another striker in as well.
Yeah.
There's obviously the situation with Hugo Ekitike from Frankfurt, but his valuation is ridiculous, and Chelsea have said that they're not paying anywhere near to that. So whether that comes back around or not, I'm not sure. But at the moment, that is, I guess, stagnant for now. But Chelsea, if they don't get him, I expect to hear more striker names come up as well. And they definitely do still want to get another striker if they can, if the opportunity is available. So they want another striker. Obviously, we know that they want another left winger. They tried to sign Jamie Gittens from Dortmund on the first deadline day on Tuesday, but again, the same situation as with Magnon, really. Dortmund decided to value him way too high. Again, Chelsea thought they were getting close with the negotiations to sign him. And I heard that Chelsea did put around about 55 million down in the end with add-ons included. So about a 45 million base fee. And Dortmund still rejected it. So Chelsea said, that's what we're offering. We're not paying any more than that. So they left the conversation with that one as well. And they will come back to it, and in the hope that Dortmund will be a bit more lenient with their valuation. Jamie Gittens, I don't know if you saw, Jay, the video of him, screeching away in his car. He was really angry about the move not going through. He was sat there waiting for it to go through. He thought he was playing for Chelsea at the Club World Cup. Now he's got to play for Dortmund. So Chelsea won't be able to sign him until after that, after the Club World Cup, because they can't register him in our squad. So that one is kind of, went a bit, I guess, a little bit toxic in the end, and a little bit, where Chelsea didn't really want to be with that. But Chelsea can go back to it. Gittens is a key target for that area. But Chelsea then, after the striker, they want a left winger. Could be Gittens. We keep still hearing about Garnacho as well, the interest there. And then as well as another striker, left winger, they also want to bring in another attacking midfielder who can sort of do a bit of everything. And, I've mentioned Morgan Rogers on here a few times now. He's the one that keeps being told to me as a key target for that position. But also Eberechi Eze from Palace is still there as well. He's still one that Chelsea are looking at, who can play in that position. So obviously Nkunku's gone to the Club World Cup, which I did find odd. But they are still.
Yeah, I find that odd too.
He'll still go, but I think the fact that Chelsea haven't signed the left winger that they wanted to bring in, they just kind of scrambled him and just brought him in anyway. But I do still expect him to go. So you've got someone to replace him, you've got someone to replace Sancho, and then they want an extra striker.
Someone to replace Mudryk, someone to replace Sterling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Sterling, I forgot about him anyway. But yeah, they want.
They are bodies, though, aren't they?
They are bodies, yeah. Although, did you see? I don't know if I've spoken to you since then. The conference final, Mudryk was out there, and Maresca was asked about it, and he didn't even know he was out there. So Mudryk went out, but he clearly wasn't really involved in the squad or anything like that. And yeah, I thought that was very odd that Maresca didn't even know. He got asked about it. He said, "Oh, I don't know. Is he out here?" Which was strange.
Yeah, that's very, very strange. I really do hope that Chelsea give due consideration to some of their targets. I think 55 million for Gittens is a real lot of money.
Exactly, and that's the ones that we wouldn't be mad if they decide to walk away from. But when you're talking about 25 million for Mike Magnon, then don't walk away from that. Just get it done. But yeah, Gittens, 55 million, as you say, is too much, way too much.
Yeah, and with the goalkeeper thing, I guess circling back, there's an element of, okay, well, we're all seeing the briefs of Penders arriving, looking absolutely massive in some Whomping Willow fashion in a Chelsea top. And it's like, well, I can't imagine it's that difficult to sell Sanchez, Jorgensen and Petrovic, have Magnon in Penders' ear or whatever else, or send Penders on loan somewhere and, deal with that again next year. It's just a really simple fix, whereas the attacking options, I think, are much more complicated. I will say there are two Victors still on the market. One of them not going to Al Hilal, the other one potentially going to Manchester United or Arsenal or wherever he goes. We'll say, Si, because nobody acknowledged my message in the group chat the other day. 20 goals from penalties this season for Victor Gyökeres. 20. Mental. I mean, fair that he scored them all because you can't not score them, but that is insane. Just throw that out there. But someone will be like, what does that mean about Cole Palmer? I'm like, shut up.
How many in total? Do you know that off the top of your head?
Total goals?
Yeah. How many did he get? I know it was something stupid, wasn't it?
Something like 40 something, I think.
Yeah. Was it even 50? I thought it might have seemed like 52 or something like that. But
I can have a look.
He still
absolutely creams it, doesn't he? He does cream it. I do see people slightly sort of skeptical of him. Yeah, he got 54 goals and 13 assists.
Yeah, that's it. That's mad, isn't it?
in 52 games, yeah, which is absolutely obscene. 20 penalties, but even so, I mean, the fact he's scoring penalties that consistently is just wild, isn't it? He will definitely go somewhere. If it's Manchester United, that'd be hilarious. If it's Arsenal, I will actually worry a little bit. So we'll see. And maybe the Osimhen stuff will circle back round. So maybe it'll. I mean, he's going to be like one of those. I can't even think now. Players that's linked forever with a move and just doesn't happen. Like Osimhen to Chelsea, I feel is such a constant link that just will never, ever, ever materialise.
At the same time, though, I do have a sense that there's some. I've always thought this, that there's something going on somewhere that we don't know about. We've not heard any links to, and it won't surprise me if they just pull something. Like they did with Pedro Neto.
Yeah,
from nowhere, I can really see something like that happening. Everyone thinks the Osimhen deal is dead. There's been no fresh links for a while now for Chelsea and Osimhen, and then all of a sudden they just decided to go and get him, like something like that. I wouldn't rule that out, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they just bring in, what's that kid's name? Dastan Satpayev, is that his name? Do you know that Kazakhstan teenager that Chelsea have signed that's an absolute bruiser and bangs him in for fun? Maybe they'll just lob him and Mark Guiu up front for the season with Delap and see how it goes.
Well, Guiu's gone to the Club World Cup, hasn't he? So that's interesting.
Good on him. He's actually class. I mean, to be honest, like I said on the pod last week, I have an increasingly large feeling that Delap is going to nail down that position quite quickly. To be honest.
you were a little bit skeptical about him.
I was, but I think just as I said on the pod, like the more I get the chance to delve into his play style and really get under the skin of what he does, like it's going to be really difficult for him to fail. I think if he does fail, then c'est la vie. But the way he plays just seems exactly like what Chelsea need.
Yeah, 100%.
And actually, even with Ekitike, who is a more gifted football player, like you could argue that Delap is more of what Chelsea need. Actively need in league games. Like he just bullies defenders. It's he is a problem the whole time, and I think having that player that can occupy two, I really do think he might find himself starting quite a lot of games unless he gets injured. So I guess it's difficult. Let's talk a little about outgoing side because it's been very quiet, and I'm sort of running on the assumption that outgoings is going to be a focus post Club World Cup stuff. So Nkunku, I've seen obviously Bayern links. That's unsurprising. I don't know if that will happen. They would have obviously liked to get Florian Wirtz, but he's on his way to Liverpool for. Is that going to be the highest fee ever paid for a player from a Premier League team? Probably is, isn't it? 150 million euros.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah. For the club that don't spend much. So it is. That's going to be a big fee. Did you see the video of Trent today doing the rounds on social media, giving his address to the Real Madrid lot all in Spanish? And all of the fans are kicking off because he's been practicing Spanish, obviously, for the last year. And he drops his entire speech in Spanish. So go.
Oh, brilliant.
Check it out, and all the Scouse reactions are not positive. But there's been I can't see any movement really. Like we heard little bits about West Ham for Dewsbury Hall. Like I have major question marks as to what's going on about Felix and Nkunku, Disasi, Badiashile. I don't really see why Wesley Fofana is still at the club, to be honest with you. The list goes on. Madueke, I still think is going to be one of interest. I do see the Newcastle stuff heating up occasionally, but there's been no registered interest. Where's Sterling going to go? What's Chilwell going to do? I mean, Ugochukwu is going to have to go somewhere. He actually wasn't that cheap when you bought him in the first place. Jackson, I suppose, would be a player the club might consider selling should the right offer come in. It's Trev. I don't know what happens to Chalobah. Do we have, and the goalkeepers, do we have any registered interest from anywhere for any of these players right now, or is it just not the focus?
There's registered interest in terms of people reaching out or clubs reaching out to their agents. So there's certainly interest coming in from Trev. Also, Badiashile.
Is that Palace?
Palace is one of them, but also Napoli is strong contenders to want to sign him. Those are the two most serious clubs. But also Badiashile has interest coming in from France. A few teams in France who want to sign him. But both of them have gone to the Club World Cup, and that's because Chelsea at the moment decided to leave the centre-back pursuit till a little bit further down the line. They tried to sign, or they approached Everton about signing Branthwaite, got told 75 million, 80 million, and said no, they're not paying that. So that was that. So they do want another defender, but they really want to look at Mamadou Sarr in the Club World Cup. So he's gone out there. And then I think they're going to make the decision then based on what they think about what they want to do with him. And then based on Badiashile and Chalobah, what interest they have coming in. If both of them get sold, then obviously Chelsea will look to bring in two more. One will be a left-sided one, which is most likely to be Hato from Ajax at the moment. And the other one will be a centre-back. So, but that's only if both of them go. There's no decisions made on those two yet. And you can see that because they've both gone to the Club World Cup. I think Maresca wants to have some dialogue with the owners and the sporting directors about what he wants to do with his defenders and his centre-backs. So it's kind of been put on the back burner until the second part of the window. And that's really the same. You can say the same about most of the outgoings. I did hear that Chelsea have been working on outgoings behind the scenes at the moment, but nothing's moved, nothing's advanced. But there was a massive, as you just reeled off there's a massive list of players that Chelsea want to get rid of. And I can see problems. I can see real issues. Clubs are not going to want to pay what we want for the players. So are we going to have to just loan them with options again, which is really frustrating. Loan with an obligation is fine, but I can see issues with players like Felix, because what do we pay 45 million for him, I think?
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to get that back right now. Ben Chilwell, who's going to pay
wages as well? Wages.
Yeah, big wages. Chilwell's on big wages.
Sterling's on big wages. Mudrik's actually on quite big wages. He can't even go anywhere.
Yeah, Sterling is going to be a huge problem. Who's going to want to bring him in at the moment? And people look at Saudi and they say, oh, Saudi will give them money. They will, but I've heard from day one when Chelsea were first trying to get rid of Sterling that he didn't want to go to Saudi. He wants to stay in London, specifically in London, because that's where all his family are, and he wants to be close to his family. So
just going to Brentford, isn't he? He's just going to go to Brentford, isn't he?
Yeah, I can see that one.
Brentford or Palace.
Yeah, so they limit options themselves. So it's going to be difficult for Chelsea to move a few of those players on. But there is interest coming in. I certainly see it moving a bit more from after next week, especially the players that haven't gone to the Club World Cup, because you can argue that you don't want to do deals whilst these games are on because players need to focus on the games, but these players have not gone, so they can sort their moves out now, and I think you will start seeing that from next week.
I'm actually really intrigued just to see where these players go. More than anything else, it's so many are going to leave. I'm really, I'm excited to see, because it will actually tot up to quite a large amount of money. And I don't know where they're all going to go. Like Trev to Napoli, fair. Like I know that he's not their number one target, or at least not at the moment anyway. They like Buekema, is that his name? The centre back from Bologna. I could have butchered that, but they're obviously big fans of him. He's actually a really promising defender. I like him a lot. He's a good player. Chilwell, obviously, Palace just seems so right, but they won't want to pay the wages, especially when he's a rotation option with Tyreek Mitchell. It's not like a nailed-on starter position. And Kunku will go somewhere. Someone will take Felix on loan, probably. Like it's all gonna be bizarre. Disasi and Badiashile will probably both end up playing for Monaco as well at the end of the season. Fofana will go to Marseille on loan and somehow play every single game.
So true,
isn't it? It's absolutely classic. And then they'll buy him for 28 million or something. We'll all be like, right, that stings. Fine. That's exactly what it's going to be. Right, we've sort of teased throughout this show a bit of Club World Cup chat, Si. Obviously, as a big man in the Chelsea pond, Si, you're going to have to keep a real keen eye on the Club World Cup, and I know that our listeners will do the same. But just for those that don't know much, the Club World Cup, great trophy, actually. I think the trophy looks amazing. Starts on my birthday, June 14th, and runs until 13th July. So it's just under a month. and the final will be at the MetLife Stadium. I will actually try and find out. Here you go. So the places that the Club World Cup is being played: Los Angeles, Seattle, Nashville, Cincinnati, Atlanta, Orlando, Miami, Charlotte, Washington, Philadelphia, and New York. So it's sort of spread all across the US, mainly more towards the East Coast, with sort of two main ones on the West Coast. So RIP to the teams having to travel from there. I think the 63 games, 12 stadiums in total, as I mentioned. 8 groups, top 2 advance to round of 16, followed by knockouts. Fairly standard process. So again, for those that don't know, the European teams, the UEFA teams that have qualified, there are 12 teams in there, including Chelsea, Man City, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG, Inter Milan, etc. In the CONMEBOL region, there are 6 clubs. In the Asia, Africa, CONCACAF specific areas, 4 clubs. And Oceania, which is just 1, which is actually the Inter Miami spot. And then there's a play-in match between LAFC, Club America, to replace Club Leon, who are in Chelsea's group. So we'll see how that goes. A $1 billion prize pool is something that was spoken about an awful lot. However, the winner has the potential, if they completely max it, to take away about $150 million, which is huge for a team. And there are obviously performance bonuses throughout each one too. I suppose, unsurprisingly, bookies' favourites are Real Madrid, but I know that PSG are also going to be up there really sort of going for it. And a lot of these clubs have been going for it, right? People who work in football are very keen on making sure that they get this money in, because it can really be transformative and help with whatever financial rules they're beholden to. So Chelsea find themselves in Group D with Flamengo, Tunis, and Leon, but now that may or may not be the case. So it looks like it's going to be Giroud's, I might sneeze, Giroud's LAFC. Oh, it's stressful when there's a mic in front of you and you want to sneeze.
It definitely is, by the way. It definitely is.
Yeah, so Leon out, LAFC in, who Chelsea will play on Monday the 16th. So next Monday when this pod goes out. So it'd be nice for Giroud to see. Well, is there anyone there that he knows? Is there anyone at Chelsea that Giroud really knows? He knows
Reece
Enzo.
James. Reece James. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Is that it? Is that he must know Chalobah maybe?
Chalobah, yeah. I'm trying to think. There would be no one else with the Chilwell, but he's not going to be there.
Enzo Giroud not cross over.
Enzo, no, I don't think so.
Go up to Chelsea.
I think they missed each other. I'm pretty sure they did.
AC Milan. He went to Milan, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, Giroud left under the last ownership, didn't he?
Sure. Goodness me. Oh, I missed that, King. So Chelsea's group is Tunis, who, they're called Espérance Sportive de Tunis. They came top by 4 points in their domestic league in the Tunisian Ligue Professionnelle 1. Unsurprisingly, so they've qualified. Flamengo, who it's really bizarre to me what's going on with Flamengo, especially on social media. Like there seems to be a lot of sort of Chelsea wind-up banter, sort of like people putting Chelsea shirts in toilets. I don't really know why you'd spend the money on the t-shirt just to put it in a toilet, but that's fine. Flamengo are currently top of the Serie A in Brazil. They've only lost once so far, and they've played 11 games, winning 7 of them. So, you know, they're actually not a joke team. I expect Chelsea to win all of these games regardless. And I mean, the MLS teams, the gulf is just so huge between them and Premier League sides. Like, I don't expect Chelsea to really trip at all in these group stages. It's going to feel very Conference League-ish, albeit in, you know, slightly pleasanter climbs than the minus 1,000 that Chelsea had to play in whenever they played against. I can't even remember that team. What are they called? Is it Noah, where it's like 8-0 and it was played at minus 15 degrees? Yeah. Not going to be any of that horrendous stuff if they got to play on the West Coast, for example. So it's, you know, there's been a lot of talk around the Club World Cup as a sort of rule-bending Super League, you know, try and get the names in. Ronaldo's not going to be there. Well, for things we can't really talk about on a podcast like this, but Ronaldo's not going to be there. And he's also going through contract negotiations with Al Nassr. So he's a sort of celebrity that's being missed, but everyone else is going to be there. And it's ultimately going to be PSG versus Real Madrid or someone in the final, I suppose. But how do you feel about the tournament? Do you think clearly Chelsea are going to take it seriously. So is your mentality side, well, we're in it. If people are taking it seriously, we're taking it seriously. Let's play to win and let's see how it goes. Or do you just not care?
I do care, definitely. I think from, you know, a personal perspective, you think about the players and you think about the long season we've just had, and then there's no break. There's been maybe 2 weeks, 1 week, and even some of those players didn't get a break because they're playing international games in that break. So you've got to think about the players, and you've got to think about, they're not going to get this time off to spend with their families and go on their holidays and stuff. I think there will be another short break afterwards, obviously before the season starts. But again, they need this. It's easy for us to say that they earn a lot of money and, they should be happy they're playing football for a living, and we'd all love to be doing that. But they are humans, and I think from that side of things, it does concern me. And it's just another money-making thing, trying to get more and more games out there. Just greedy bosses of these companies, and that's just the way football has become, I suppose. But on the other side of that, thinking, as a Chelsea fan, more than anything else, I think it's exciting. I think it's a great competition to play in. It's something over the summer that we all miss Chelsea over the summer months. And
I don't.
No, you don't miss them in the season, mate.
Yeah, no. I missed the summer months during the season, actually, is more the case.
That's more like it. You miss Inter Milan in the summer, surely.
I'm looking forward to the job Kivu's going to do, mate. I'm really excited about it, so we'll see.
But yeah, I think it is. It's good. It's great. Like I've ordered a little wall chart, like I normally do for the International World Cup, so I can,
You are adorable, Si.
It's great. I love all that stuff, and it's a good way of keeping up with the fixtures. You don't have to Google something; you just look on your wall and it's there, right? Old school, but always the best way.
Old school, but that is what your bag side. To be fair, as a lot of the listeners, I'm on my way there now. I'm on my way there. I guess when does old school start happening? I guess when you hit 30 plus, maybe.
Yeah, old school starts happening when you watch a film and you're like, oh, this film. I remember when this came out 5 years ago, and you look at when it came out and it's 25 years ago. That's when you're old.
Yeah,
school.
That's when it starts getting old school. I hear that. Yeah. I do have that now. I have that with just old Chelsea players, to be fair. I'm like, Eden Hazard, and then he was actually joined the club like 13 years ago.
Yeah, time goes quick, mate. Hold on to your 20s.
15 years old. Now I'm flailing around as I sort of moonwalk on ice towards my 30s.
Literally.
But yeah, it's fine. I think if Chelsea can make a quarterfinal, semi-final, not embarrass themselves too much, hopefully get some experience, not embarrassing themselves against a really super team, I suppose, is what I'd like to see. I don't really care about the games against LAFC or Flamengo or whatever. I mean, I am excited to see Estevao. Is he? Oh, he's not at Chelsea, is he? He's going to be at Thingy.
Yeah, you can see him, but not at Chelsea.
He's going to be at Palmeiras, which is actually heavy as well. I rate that. So I hope that he balls out. That'd be class. And it'll be interesting to just see this squad, see how it's going. I'm intrigued to see what Delap does.
Yeah.
That for me, I think, is the most exciting aspect. I think Chelsea are obviously going to steamroll the group, but what I want is Chelsea to have to play. I mean, in an ideal world, I would have Chelsea play against PSG and Atletico Madrid or something like that. Completely different propositions, but just I don't care whether they lose 4-0, but it's just whether they can cope with dealing with those problems, because in the Champions League, those teams are going to turn it up another level again. And this is, whilst the club is used to this team is not. So I'd like to see the club and the team put through their paces, to be fair, and see how they really fare when they come up against some super elite sides, because I think in the Premier League, Chelsea have done fairly well. But as well as I, St James's Park away in the Premier League is one thing, and it's brutal and probably outside Anfield the worst place to go in the league. But then Atletico Madrid away in the Champions League is actually a hellhole. So, can Chelsea not go the full way? But if they play Atleti somewhere, if they play PSG or play Real Madrid or Bayern or Inter or whatever, you want to see some problem solving, and you want to see that they can swim in that pool, I suppose. I don't really give a shit about the prize money, especially because I just know Real Madrid or PSG are going to win it anyway, which makes no real difference to them. Real Madrid don't even need to spend money. They can just wait for players to leave their club. Players won't sign other contracts if Real Madrid are coming, and PSG can buy you regardless. So it's one of those ones where I think it's going to feel a little bit futile in the end, but experientially and experimentally, I can see it being something of interest for Chelsea fans to at least get a flavour of what we're expected to see. But the squad that's at the Club World Cup is not going to be the same squad that starts the first game of the Premier League season. I don't imagine. So I suppose I'm limited in my excitement. You know me, I love watching football at the best of times, Si. So I'm limited in my excitement. But if Chelsea won it, then that'd be pretty sick, right?
It'd be amazing. I remember, the last time they won it, which wasn't that long ago. So, and yeah, it's a great cup to win. All those teams you just mentioned there. If we go through and we beat a couple of them, or even just turn up and give them a really good game, then that's encouraging. It's an encouraging sign for where we are. People go back to, we're Chelsea. We've got to be challenging the very best in the world, and true, we do, but we're not there. Like we're nowhere near there. So it's another chance to grow, another chance to develop. As you say, play against some of the best players in the world, and just see how we fare, and see how Enzo Maresca fares. And I think it's just a really good opportunity to do that and see how far we go. I don't think for 1 minute we will get very far, but yeah, I mean, we can dream.
I mean, just to be clear as well, for like all jokes aside, if Chelsea end up losing fixtures to like Wydad AC or the Mamelodi Sundowns or the Urawa Red Diamonds, I'm going to have some problems.
Definitely, there'll be meltdowns, mate.
Yeah, like if Chelsea lose a quarterfinal to like Ulsan HD, the Korean team, I'm going to find it difficult to stomach that.
That's a television, isn't
it? Yeah, like with respect. I mean, this sounds really disrespectful because all these teams here in their own right, but like,
of course,
man, I can deal if Chelsea lose to like Palmeiras or Botafogo or something like that, but if Chelsea lose a game to the Seattle Sounders or Auckland City FC, like I'm gonna really just stop watching for a bit because it would just be the stinkiest thing. I mean, it won't happen because those teams are not going to get through, and it's just going to be a normal Champions League.
Also, they don't have the excuse of saying, it's pre-season, because normally when we play these teams, it's pre-season, and everyone's like, you can't expect anything in pre-season. They've had all this time off. This is the end of the season. Chelsea keep telling us that they're treating this as the same season as what we're playing or we just played now. So there's no excuses for anything like that. So if we did end up losing to one of them, it's gonna be awful.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair though, when you look at the Club World Cup groups, like Chelsea's in Group D with Flamengo, LAFC, and Tunis. Like Group A is fairly interesting because you've got Palmeiras, Porto, I guess, are the two favourites in that group. Inter Miami there also, and Inter Miami against Palmeiras, if Messi just turns up and does Messi stuff, then there's kind of nothing you can really do. Group B has got PSG and Atleti and Botafogo in it. So, obviously PSG and Atleti will go through. Bayern are in Group C. And I guess the two standout teams from there would be Boca Juniors and Benfica, who I guess will give each other a really good game. So one of those guys might go through. Obviously in Chelsea's group, Flamengo, I imagine, will go through as well. So, Group E, Inter Milan are in it, and there's Monterrey and there's River Plate too. So Monterrey and River Plate can really play each other well. Dortmund are in a sort of much easier group. I imagine Fluminense will go along with them. City are in a group with Juve, and then two sort of, I think a Saudi team and a Moroccan team, but I could be wrong. And then Real Madrid are in a group with Salzburg and Al Hilal. So there is going to be there are going to be some slight curveball teams that enter the knockout stages just by default of how the groups are set up. But yeah, if we lose to PSG, I can deal with that. If the Seattle Sounders somehow find their way through there and knock Chelsea out, I'm going to literally be livid. So, and that's coming from me. I'm a very caring Chelsea fan. I think the group chat would be on fire if Chelsea were losing to Seattle Sounders side. Okay. Well, is there anything we've not mentioned you want to mention before we go? We haven't really spoke about Renato Vega, who's not in the Club World Cup lineup. I know that there's been some disappointment for Kendry Páez too. It looks like he's going to go on loan to Strasbourg, to be expected. So do you want to talk about Vega before we go? Is there really anything to say? He expected to come back and play Club World Cup. He isn't. So see ya.
Yeah, it's on him, isn't it? He wanted to go in the winter window. He asked to leave basically because he wanted to play as a centre back, and he should have stayed because he could have played lots of games if he stayed at Chelsea. I have no doubt about that. So yeah, he can't really complain about it now at this point.
No, agreed. Anything else?
No, I think we've covered everything.
Are you live blogging Monday?
Yeah. Well, it will be on. Actually, yeah, maybe I tried that, didn't I? The last game of the season, the cup game. Yeah, maybe I'll do that again. I think it was.
I don't know what that would work out UK time. To be
It
honest,
is 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. UK.
Oh, okay, fine. So
Yeah,
that can
a reasonable time. Yeah.
Yeah, sit right and ruin my evening. Fair enough. That sounds great stuff. Okay, well, we'll be back next Thursday after my sojourn in the south of France and Si's. Well, yeah, Si, you and I are doing a pod next week because you're then away the weekend after, aren't you? You've got a very exciting weekend planned, so
yeah,
that'll be exciting. We'll be back next week. We'll talk all things Chelsea. Hopefully, there's some interesting transfer stuff to talk about, not just timeline drama. We'll come back and talk that hopefully Chelsea beat LAFC in the first game of the Club World Cup and Giroud doesn't drop a 2-goal clinic on the boys at the back. But we'll be there to discuss everything each step of the way. Guys, make sure you check out everything on the website. I'm sure Si will link anything he needs to. We'll be back next week. Thank you all for listening. See you later.